How many of you want to find the last place on Earth? Yes, the last place on Earth sounds appealing to many, a remote spot removed from the ills of society and surrounded by the beauty of nature, such as lush forests, a gigantic clear lake dotted with lighthouses that emulates the feel of an ocean, and waterfalls pouring down chasms in the hills. I found a couple regions in the upper Midwest that many people steered me to, saying they're the best places to see there, so I decided to go there and have a look, and I wasn't disappointed. Rockhopper here. Come along and join me as we explore what might just be the last best places in Michigan. As I drove along the highways, I sometimes ventured off onto small dirt roads that ushered me into a forest that was turning into a palette of autumn color. There were oaks, beech, and birch, but it was the vibrant reds of sugar maples that really caught my eye. As if not wanting to be outdone, forest mushrooms radiated their fiery reds and glowing yellow hues. Small wooden bridges crossed tiny streams, lending a rustic charm. For much of the way, I was accompanied by the churning waters of Lake Superior at my side. I turned off the highway to have a look at the town of Michigamme. That's a big sign for this little town. Michigamme has a nice welcoming sign. Looks pretty historic. Might have to stop and have a look. It was a small town that looked quite relaxed and historic. Some buildings gave it a New England vibe, while others lent a more Wild West feel. That feeling became even more pronounced when I came across these old bottles lining the shelves inside the building. I wonder if they're going to restore this place. I guess it'd be pretty cool if they did restore this thing, 'cause look at how old this looks. Was it once a place of business, or a house, I wondered? Whatever it was, it looked quite old, possibly the late 1800s. Here's a quick look at the upstairs. Wow, look at those old hinges. Used to have hinges like that in my old house, which was a historic house up in Oregon. Lath and plaster. Old wallpaper still up there. Looks like they are maybe looking at maybe renovating this place. I'm not sure. Look at that old door lock. Doorknob, door lock. There were cute touches like this mannequin staring out the window of an old building, and this information booth with bicycle decor, which I found adorable. See the name of that boat? The old St. Agnes Church is now the library. So let's go in and have a look. So you can just walk in, they got some hours up there for winter and summer, and just go on in here. And it's an honesty library apparently. Just write your name down here when you check out a book. You just come in, grab a book, and then when you're done, just put it in the book return box there and they'll put them back on the shelves. How cool is that? And over here you've got your new arrivals. So I guess it's just things that maybe the town buys or people donate. And you just take a book or leave a book. The UP is restoring my faith in humanity. You can have kids play back here if you want. A little foosball table and everything. They've just got a little stamp right there that says they belong to the library. Feel free to check them out. But there's no Wi-Fi here, however. I got back on Highway 41 heading west, admiring the changing colors of the trees alongside it. The road veered north to Baraga. Along the way I saw a sign for Canyon Falls, and eager to get out of the car and go for a walk, I stopped to see it. The hike to the falls was about a mile long. I was glad I did it, as the colors of fall were stunning, especially when juxtaposed against the dark rocks and water of the river behind the trees, a cool breeze swaying their branches and knocking off some of their leaves into the water. Alongside the highway I saw a sign for Bishop Baraga's shrine, so turned to see what it was. Bishop Baragan, a Slovenian missionary who came to the U.S. to build up the American Catholic Church, traveled widely in the region ministering to immigrants working the iron and copper mines, as well as the native tribes. Farther up the road, heading north to the Keweenaw Peninsula, I drove through Houghton, the big town of the region. The town was built from the copper industry and has an array of historic stone buildings. Today it's probably best known for Michigamme Technical University. Beyond the fringes of town I encountered this place of rustic charm, and it was obvious someone enjoyed collecting vintage cars and trucks and displaying them for everyone to see. I passed through several small towns, all of them from the days of when copper was king here, once the world's greatest copper producer. This town is Hubble. These houses were built from an industry that is now all but vanished. The region left with houses of that era, and with the environmental impact from that mining. There were the towns of Tamarack, Hubble, Lake Linden, and Laurium, and they seemed to be barely hanging on. They made me think of a movie set depicting a life of long ago. I continued north up the Keweenaw and eventually got to a tourist town called Copper Harbor, and once I got beyond it, the landscape became a more natural one that I was seeking. Here there were the North Woods and its denizens, like this pileated woodpecker, the largest woodpecker in North America. A half-mile hike took me to the rocky shore of Lake Superior, which I had become quite fond of since it reminded me of being beside the ocean. I could sit for hours and watch the tumultuous water throw waves at the shore to explode in a fury of spray against the rocks. Monstrous freighters offshore added to the oceanic vibe. The power of the water was evident as it sprayed above the top of the bow, which must have been at least 20 feet high. After a few days of mountain biking, hiking, and exploring by vehicle near Copper Harbor, I headed out along Highway 26, which paralleled the lake, heading toward Eagle Harbor. Lighthouses continued to entice me, so I stopped to photograph them. The change in the season was quite evident, the wind blasting the shore and churning the water into a tumult. The often treacherous waters of the lake are why the life-saving station was built here, near Eagle Harbor, back in the day. I found Eagle Harbor to be a cute little village beside the lake. Eagle Harbor was established back in the days of copper mining and shipping. This general store, established 1859. That's pretty old, huh? The fall colors of the trees lining the highway continued to bedazzle me. I headed to the little town of Amik, There were a couple of houses with auction signs on them. They say there's a shortage of houses in the U.S., but as I saw so many run-down or abandoned homes, I wonder if it's really more of a shortage of people willing to work. Of course, it takes money to fix up houses, and not everyone wants to live where winters are frigid and there's over 200 inches of snow annually. The town of Calumet has a National Historic Site and Park. It was settled in 1864 and became the heart of this copper mining region, once boasting a population of over 25,000 people. Today, Calumet is a town honoring its past. Some of the buildings are restored with many more awaiting a makeover. This was another place that reminded me of a movie set. The theater you see today was originally built as an opera house in 1900 and is now active with theatrical, musical, and community events. I had a stroll around town and was intrigued by all the historic structures. I took a few minutes to speak with the people in the shops and found them to be quite friendly and talkative. Everywhere I went on the Keweenaw, it seemed, were reminders of the old copper mining days. Many of the buildings of that era were now crumbling, the rocks once used in their construction now returning to the earth from which they had come.
I've been to Iceland, and now I can say I've been to Greenland. Michigan, that is. I don't know what this was, but it looks very old. Let's go in and have a quick look.
In my travels, I've explored inside many abandoned structures in order to make a video, or just out of curiosity. I like to try and figure out what happened and why everybody left for good.
I had to come inside and have a quick look, and yeah, this place is pretty old. Look at that, Sonny and Cher, from back in the 60s, no doubt. This place is like a time capsule. Look at that old piano.
This structure, presumably a very large house, possibly built from the riches of the copper mining era, evoked images in my mind of what it must have been like when people occupied it. I could almost hear the laughter of kids at play running through the halls, or envision everyone seated at the dinner table in the evening. What happened to the house and the people who once lived in it? Who were they? These questions are hard to answer, and that information can sometimes only be extracted from the minds of old men and women.
This paper looks like it might be from the 1950s. Look at that. 3-digit phone number there. 4-digit phone number over here. Look at that old picture there.
I ventured westward to what is considered one of the wildest and least altered portions of Michigan, the Porcupine Mountains, most commonly referred to as the Porkies. It was a natural wonderland full of areas of old-growth trees, a rarity in this state, as most of them were mowed down like a lawn over 100 years ago. And at this time of year, the colors were phenomenal, painting the land in a carpet of reds and golds. I thought of how there are so few places left in the world of unaltered nature. I also thought of the great lengths people now go to in order to see the last remnants of it. I thought to myself, exploitation benefits the few in the short term, while preservation benefits the many in the long term. Not far from Wakefield, I found this piece of what would likely become a part of lost America, Bingo's Motel. Turns out it was built in the 1950s, and from what I could find, appears to have operated until recently and might still be in use on occasion. Michigan had been a great adventure for me, and now it was time to leave with the images captured in my camera and in my mind. I'd connected with Layton and camped with her for a few days, and later camped with Susan, and after they went onward, continued to explore Michigan on my own. I headed west back into Wisconsin, and saw what might be one of the highest waterfalls in this part of the country. I hope you enjoyed exploring what might just be the last best places in Michigan. Don't forget to give me a like on the video, share, and subscribe. Until next time, this is Rockhopper. I'll see ya.